Welcome to Spitbucket. Today we're down here in beautiful Orange, New South Wales, and we're with Debbie Lauritz from Cumulus. Now I'm especially happy to welcome Debbie because she's a Queenslander and you can never have too many Queenslanders on Spitbucket.
Thank you, Ken.
Now, first of all, tell us about Cumulus.
So Cumulus is based down here in Orange in New South Wales, and we're one of the largest vineyards in the area. We've got 508 hectares of vines, which is quite a significant property. And it's a huge, yeah. Ken and I have just been out to the vineyard today, actually, and it just sort of rolls on into the distance. It keeps going and going. So, that's the story of Cumulus. We've got our brands here with us today to taste together, and we've got Rolling, Climbing and Cumulus.
Mm-hmm. What's really embarrassing, I've got 508 hectares and it's so neat. Everything is absolutely perfect. I can't get my little tiny garden neat, and this thing, 500 hectares. Okay, now we're going to actually start right at the top. Do you want to talk a little bit about the three different, how they fit in?
Yeah, okay. It's a very interesting vineyard. It's quite unique. What defines Orange is the geographical area around Orange and also elevation. To be part of the Orange wine region, you have to be 600 metres and upwards. So Orange, some of the vineyards are up and around 1,200, 1,100 metres. But what makes our vineyard interesting is it's actually on the 600 metre contour line. So some of our blocks fall above 600 metres and fall into Orange, and those are the blocks and the fruit that we use to go into Cumulus and Climbing wines. And some of our blocks fall below 600 metres, but within the same vineyard. And that's part of the Central Ranges zone. And for us, those blocks and those grapes go into our rolling wines. So it's sometimes it creates difficulties at harvest time, keeping Orange fruit and Central Ranges fruit separate. But we find that it adds an extra talking point and really differentiates these brands from one another.
Mm-hmm. And if I'm correct, the rolling you can do blends, whereas both Cumulus and Climbing are straight varietals.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Now we're starting with the 09 Chardonnay, I think, wasn't it? It was, yes, the 09 Cumulus Chardonnay. Tell us a bit about 09.
So 09 was quite what we would call sort of leading into the growing season. We had a little bit of rain, but quite dry. So moderate crop levels, a little bit of stress in terms of water stress in the soil, but no disease pressure, so quite a sort of calm vintage. So the idea behind our Cumulus wines is that it's to showcase what we think we can do best off our vineyard. So we do one white and one red. So we've got the Cumulus Chardonnay and the Cumulus Shiraz. So this comes from two of our best blocks of Chardonnay. Really selected the best parts of the blocks. We've hand-picked, we've whole bunch pressed, and really hands-on winemaking and viticulture to produce sort of it's quite sort of elegant, citrus, tight.
This morning when we were looking at them, you were talking about the different, because you've got many, many different blocks in that vineyard. I mean, it's a single vineyard, but many blocks. And you were talking about how the block you've used for the 09, which was different to the 08, is much more citrusy and grapefruit. And that was the thing that first struck me, is it's got that grapefruit running right through it. And it's a more elegant wine than the 08. And I think it's a nicer wine.
Yeah, we're in this price point, we're really trying to get a lot of complexity. We're trying to let the fruit do its talking as well. So you've got the grapefruit and the citrus and some lemon meringue type characters, a little hint of minerality. But we're also looking for a lot of complexity and a lot of weight. So we have some barrel ferment, some indigenous yeast, some natural yeast fermentation, some yeast lees stirring, and all of that to add some complexity and weight and some interest to the wine. And
when you talk price point, it's around 30?
$30,
yep.
Yeah.
And all the Cumulus are around 30, or both, I should say.
That's right.
The Climbing, 22, sorry, yep. 22, and that's 18. 17 across the range. So, which makes it very easy if you have the same price right across rather than having to chop and change. Righto. Now, we're going not backwards, but down the hill, I suppose.
That's right, yeah.
Rolling. Where the names came from originally?
So well, the names when you come out to look at our vineyard, you'll see why we've got a wine brand called Rolling, because you stand at the top of one of the hills and you really see the vineyards rolling off into the distance. There's these rolling foothills with Mount Cumulus in the background. And Mount Cumulus is actually what defines a lot of this area. It's an extinct volcano and it's what has created the elevation in the area and also a lot of the soil types in the area, so a lot of rich basalt-derived soils. So from our vineyard, you look into the distance and see Mount Cumulus, and then all the rolling foothills that go on from there. So you stand on some of our blocks in the vineyard and see it rolling out in front of you. So that's definitely where the Rolling name came from. And we've also got a few quirky things on the label to bring it back to the region. We've got Beatrice on her bike, and she's got oranges in her basket for the township of Orange, and she's wearing the local rugby team football scarf around her neck. So local people always have a bit of a laugh about that one because it's a bit of fun. Whereas the climbing brand is sort of in relation to the elevation of the area. Again, 600 metres and upwards, and slightly higher price point wine, sort of going to great heights, looking for something better and better all the time. And again, it's a very quirky, fun label with circus guys, going up ladders and
you get you get a mixed response to the labels, but overall it's generally, apparently, except for elderly men.
That's just my personal opinion. From the people, most of the people that don't, you can't always please everyone all of the time, and sometimes we get comments that they think, oh, it doesn't look very serious for a wine label, and it's not, definitely. It's fun.
Perfect for Spitbucket.
It is memorable. People see it and they never forget that label. They'll say, oh, do you work at the winery with the girl on the bike? And yep, that's me. I work at Rolling.
Okay. This is the Shiraz from 08. Shiraz makes up about a third of your vineyards, so it's obviously your most important grape in that sense. Do you want to tell us about Orange Shiraz?
Orange Shiraz I find very different style to a lot of the other Shiraz that people are, I think, often drink in Australia. So not at all like South Australian, big, rich, ripe. It's very perfumed and lifted. It's got lovely bright fruit, but it's quite a medium-bodied wine. It's quite elegant, and it's got these lovely touches of spice. So some white pepper, some black pepper.
It's certainly, sorry, I should have said Central Ranges Shiraz, of course, yes, for the rolling, but it has got that spice and a little touch of pepper, and it's nothing like the big, huge, in-your-face wines out of McLaren Vale, Barossa, etc. It's a much more elegant, leaner style, and which probably makes it a hell of a lot more food-friendly. Not that we say that to the Barossans, but...
I think so, yeah. And I mean, we don't generally produce wines at more than 13.5% alcohol. So that also, makes it a bit more of a food-friendly wine. It's not dominating the food; it's working with it. But yeah, it's nice ripe berry fruits. We don't ever have a problem getting Shiraz ripe in our vineyard. We've got lovely long sunshine days, lovely long days, a little bit higher up, nice intense sunshine. And we get these lovely cool nights, which means that we can retain our natural acidity.
Now, we're heading upwards again, this time the climbing. The Cabernet from 08.
So I really love the Cabernet from our vineyard. It's something I think we do really well, the Cabernet Merlot. Again, referring to that, lovely long ripening days, but so you can get your tannins ripe, you can get your fruit flavours ripe, but you're not going overboard into the sort of overripe, stewy Cabernet characters. And so I think we produce really elegant Cabernet-based wines, and this is one of my favourites.
When we looked at this, the reason I wanted this in the lineup today is because when we looked at this morning, I thought if you wanted to show someone what varietal Cabernet was, you couldn't go past. It's got the black currant flavours, the sort of cassis. It's got a little bit of that capsicum. You can see that sort of dry herb, tiny bit of that herbal character. When you taste it, it has got a tiny bit of that sort of structure. They talk about the donut. I mean, not the full hole in the middle or anything, but you can see how it starts in the middle. There's a little bit of a dip before it comes back up, and the fine tannins. I just think if you wanted to look at a Cabernet as what it is varietally, that's just perfect. Now, our off-screen talent Swig has instructed us to make certain that we explain, because not everyone's. Well, most people are cleverer than Swig, but we're talking rolling is Cab Merlot, and this is the straight Cabernet Sauvignon. Happy, Swig? Yep, we got the thumbs up. Okay, Now, we've got something that is yet to be released to the public, but it will be out very soon.
Yes. Yep. Very exciting.
I'm supposed to bend down here to look as though we've got it down the bottom. It's actually just there. Oh, God. That would have been good if we... We'll move on. Right, okay.
So, yeah, this is a very exciting wine. The ownership of our company is a company based in Sydney called Asset Insure, and also a Portuguese wine family. So we're 50% owned by a Portuguese family who have had a lot of history and a lot of involvement in wines and vineyards in Portugal. And they make a lot of rosé in Portugal, and they said to us, let's do a bit of collaboration and send one of our rosé winemakers out and make a rosé with you guys from your fruit and your harvest, from your vineyard and your style, but with a bit of a touch from our side of things. So this is what we've come up with, the Luna Rosa, Rosado.
And you've also got a rolling pink, which is a much deeper. This is if you can see the colour. I don't know whether you can see the colour. It's quite a pale colour. The rolling pink is a much deeper colour and more traditional sort of Aussie rosé. This has got the way you were explaining how it was made with the stopping the fermentation to keep the alcohol very about 10.5.
10.5.
10.5 is, I mean, it's basically 2 beers. There's a touch of sweetness there, but it doesn't come across as sweet. It more just fills out the palate to me.
Yeah.
And easy to drink, being that low alcohol, and it's clean. It's almost savoury. It's fresh, and I think it's delicious. And if I just may say, the Portuguese connection under screw cap. I've just had to put that in.
I think we did have a debate about that actually in the early stages where we were looking at bottles and labels, and there was a bit of talk about, screw cap, and there was never, from our side of things, not nice fresh wines like this can't go past a screw cap. I mean, this is not a wine that you're going to age. This is going to be drunk this summer. It's a lovely summer wine. It's not going to live in most people's refrigerators past 6 months. So, but yeah, it is. It's a lovely balanced wine. And when Francisco, the Portuguese winemaker, came out, he said it's all about balance. It's got to have balance with the acid, the sugar, the fruit, and also a little bit of a tiny little bit of CO2, a little bit of spritz on the palate, and so then that sort of lifts the fruit and lifts the wine as well. And it's all about balance. People often say, "Oh, is it dry or sweet?" Or and it's not about that. It's about the balance.
It just sort of linear, just flows through, and the best part, $12. Seriously. So the owners apparently don't want to make any money. That was a real surprise today because I had no idea you guys were doing it, and I think it's a terrific little one. Now, and this, as yet, has not been seen by anyone outside Spitbucket, or a few people at lunch, but they'll probably forget. But anyway, any comments, thoughts, questions, please drop us an email. Debbie, thank you very much for being on Spitbucket, and
My
just
pleasure.
remember, we spit so you don't have to. I have to say that.